Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome. Good morning, good evening, good night. Eddie Pepitone here in New York City doing another version of Apocalypse Soon, just walking here in New York City in Forest Hills. I said good morning even though East Coast time, it's about 4 p.m., but I got up around 2:30 p.m., coming from Denver. Anyway, it's just, the life of a traveling comedian who is always tired yet strangely hopeful in a time when a guy like Stephen Miller during Charlie Kirk's memorial, a guy that the right, the devastatingly dangerous fascist right, led by a piece of shit businessman who bankrupted himself 4 times, just never paid anybody. And Stephen Miller, yesterday during this fucking memorial, for a guy who wasn't an intellectual giant, was just a propaganda tool for them, who may have been targeted by Israel. Stephen Miller just was going on and on about how the right is going to suss out the the people responsible for the Charlie Kirk bullshit. And, it has nothing to do with anything. Just, it's all about, the crackdown on anyone who dares to defy, I don't even know what. It's just fascism and violence, and that's all they want. They want to fight. They want a war. They're such scumbags. But I want to remind you that Apocalypse Soon is brought to you by Nestle's and Exxon and Halliburton. They're all new sponsors for Apocalypse Soon. Halliburton is finally on board. I had a discussion with the CEO of Halliburton, and I was like, listen, John, please, yes, sometimes I go on anti-war screeds, but look, I am also for the disintegration of love. I told Halliburton this, and it finally won them over. I was like, look, I don't want anything to do with love and compassion and tolerance and, smartness. That's definitely a thing that is under attack, is anyone with any level of intelligence. Oh, God, you gotta laugh. I'm walking in Forest Hills, Queens, here, and it's nice to be. I love Denver. It's a great comedy scene, and I just did the High Plains Festival, and I gotta say, it was amazing, especially because I did so well, and I realized that all I care about is doing well. Do you hear that fucking leaf blower? I can't get away from these things. I now yell at leaf blowers. I'm like, you fucking idiot. You hear how loud that is? And by the way, I'm very tolerant. But there has to be a quality of life. Anyway, it's so easy to go crazy in this world, is it not? I'm walking among a lot of people here. There's a long line for a bus right here on Queens Boulevard. If you've ever been on Queens Boulevard, you'll know what I'm talking about. Just a long line. Some asshole had his head down. He wasn't on his phone. He was reading documents. Almost walked into me. Just completely oblivious. And that's the kind of stuff that happens constantly in the city, in New York City. I call it the city because what other city is there really? Denver is certainly not a city. I was just there. It's some kind of big, cool suburb. You know, that's what it seems like to me. I'm now crossing Queens Boulevard, and it's insane. There's a sign for the vitamin shop. Above it is a psychic palm and tarot cards and a phone number. And, you know, I think a lot more people are going to be going to tarot readers and psychics as things continue to unravel. But these motherfuckers, they have martyred Charlie Kirk. I laugh every time I speak his name because, you know, he was, in my eyes, just a propaganda tool. And, you know, no one deserves to be fucking slaughtered, even though that is the language of the right, the violence, you know. And it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm sure I could make a more nuanced argument. But you know what? There is no nuanced argument to make. You know, what's going on is pretty obvious. And when I say the left, I don't include Democrats. Mamdani might be a guy on the left legitimately. You know, the Democrats aren't the left. The Democrats are down with all the corporate bullshit. You know, they let the whole country slide into this horrific state because they wouldn't stand up for unions and workers and health care. And they let corporations basically stage a tax revolt and also just basically be able to leave America and leave great swaths of... Oh, thank you. Someone pointed out that my sweatshirt was hitting the street like I'm carrying a sweatshirt, and she was like, your sweatshirt, it's dragging. And and she was really upset about it just now. She's like, your sweatshirt, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, I'm trying to be coherent about the fact that the Democrats are complicit in the state of this country. The Democrats don't mean left. That's why all this rhetoric... By the way, sorry, the sound, I'm sure, is going to be shit for this podcast, but it is the sound of life. I mean, that's the one thing we can say, is that it is the sound of life. And, you know, life is good, ultimately. Life is good. I'm walking now by a dog. Hello! Walking by a dog, a beautiful pit bull. I've grown to love pit bulls. My God. Yeah, you know what I love about Forest Hills too is that it's such a neighborhood where everybody gets along. Like so many different races here in Forest Hills. It's really great in that way. You know, the cultures, there's so many cultures here, and it's really, really nice, you know. Also, I love how the insane get along with the semi-grounded. Nobody is grounded anymore, you know. It's like the insane and almost insane. That is really, in Britain there was something called the Looney Party. I'm not sure if they still have it, but I'm sure some of you know that. I know some of you know things. I'm 66, so I've had a longer life than probably anyone who listens to this podcast, and I've always been steered in the right direction as far as who to read. Noam Chomsky, Chris Hedges, Aldous Huxley, Thomas Pynchon, literature and political. It's all about humanity and telling the truth, telling the truth as best we can. And the truth is getting obfuscated right now. And I think one of the only voices of truth, and I think that this is probably alarming, is me. You gotta listen to me, because I don't have any financial stake in anything I say. There's three dogs. They're kind of barking at each other, but they're also wagging their tails. And that's what dogs are like. They piss each other off in a way. They're so territorial, but they're also absolutely gorgeous and committed to love and happiness. Dogs are committed to love and happiness. I'm walking by a Forest Hills Pizzeria. Breakfast pizza, pasta sandwiches. And right next to it is called Dirty Pierre's Bistro. Dirty Pierre's. They have like omelets, eggs Florentine, quesadillas. I'm just giving you some flavor of the Forest Hills neighborhood. And the three dogs that are hassling each other, one is a husky. It looks like two huskies and like a big poodle. I always thought poodles were kind of pansies or soft, but they're, the big poodles are so athletic. They really are. By the way, when you get into Forest Hills, like when you get out of Queens Boulevard, you start going, it's gorgeous out here. It's Germanic in the sense that the architecture, I believe, is based on German towns, and it's quite beautiful. It's quite beautiful. It's very Tony, and there is a lot of wealth out here. And I like walking in Tony areas, and Geraldine Ferraro lived out here, that kind of ilk. Oh my, hold on everybody, my fucking watch. Anyway, walking by Dartmouth. Now this isn't Dartmouth, it's some kind of high school, some kind of version of Dartmouth. I wonder if it's a facility. Oh no, yeah, I think we're on Dartmouth Street. Anyway, a lot of this is incoherent, and it should be. But it is going to be, I mentioned the Looney Party, it is going to be basically a battle of the insane and the not so insane. Very insane people are just walking around constantly, just, we're all now pretty much insane. Hold on. So we're sorry. There's going to be gaps. It's like when Nixon was president, and the Watergate tapes, and there were big gaps that his secretary Rosemary something. Do you remember that? Again, I'm very old. I have really felt old lately talking to younger comics in the High Plains Festival in Denver. By the way, High Plains. It is, the altitude sickness in Denver is real for me. I was sleeping most of the weekend until my shows, and then I would awaken like the Frankenstein monster. And I killed. So I had that altitude thing where I had no energy, but then I would rally and do sets. And this is day one for me in New York. I'm back at sea level. I'm back at sea level and I'm feeling better. Walking around in this dramatic forest hills. Someone with the tennis racket walking toward me. It's a big tennis center here because the U.S. Open is played here in Forest Hills, so a lot of people, and you know, like I said, it's the Tony area. You won't see, you know, a lot of people carrying tennis rackets in poor areas, you know. There are some, but not a lot. And over here, it's just all about tennis and ballet classes and, you know, gripping your teacup in a way where the pinky is extended. But anyway, the insanity runs deep now. We have no leaders. Our biggest leaders are on TikTok, Instagram. You know, people who are passionate about the truth. People who are passionate about exposing the murderers, and that's what they are, murderers. There's no other way to describe what's going on, you know, in Gaza. And, you know, people were making the point today that the Democrats were complicit under Biden Harris when they were running. They were complicit in the genocide. They completely sold out to Israel and AIPAC. And, you know, and if you were complicit in a genocide, then of course fascism will be here. Of course it will. You know? Also, what happened to Matt Taibbi? Anybody know Matt Taibbi? I used to read him a lot when he was with Rolling Stone, fierce leftist. He's a complete... And I subscribe to his thing called Racket News, and he's an intelligent guy for sure, but he swung to the right or the center. He calls it the center. By the way, there can't be any center now. I love the people who are like, oh, we need to, you know, we need to have the center back. Oh, here we are. I'm right across from a tennis place, Stan Smith, Forest Hill Stadium. Oh, this is where Forest Hill Stadium, besides tennis, U.S. Open double championships are played here. Also, they have a lot of concerts here. I saw Mike Huckabee's band play here for a bit, and that's a joke. You guys know Mike Huckabee, right? He's a completely insane Israeli lapdog, right wing. I still use the term right wing, even though it should be called the murder party. That's what's going to happen, man, is that we're going to have parties that are called like the murder party. I'm sure a lot of you are impressed by the fact that I am walking and talking. You could hear I'm a little out of breath because this is the first fucking exercise I've gotten in a few days. In Denver, I laid in bed and then I would come out and kill on stage. Whereas the murder party, they lay in bed and just come out and kill people for real. So what else is going on, which is what I say on stage a lot after uttering something completely insane. I'll utter something completely insane and then yell, what else is going on? And it gets a tremendous laugh. And what I just did for you there, folks, is give you... I lifted the veil of show business for you and let you in on how I manipulate you, the masses, with extremely well-timed barbs, extremely well-timed bits. Say something like, my balls, I had a dream. I had a dream where my balls were on the floor of a castle. What else is going on? You know what I mean? Oh, these trees out here are gorgeous. I think they're oak trees. They may be, I don't think they're maple. I have an app that identifies trees, but I'm not going to do it because if I pause this, I'm not going to want to go back to it. It probably doesn't seem to you like I have a lot of momentum, but I have spoken for 21 minutes. I've got Kevin Tinkin in LA, fearless stand-up comedian Kevin Tinkin, my producer on this podcast. He's half of the podcast, let's face it, and he's awaiting this with bated breath so he can tweak the sound and, do whatever the fuck he does. Right, Kevin? So anyway, what else is going on? I can't reiterate to you how gorgeous it is. Now, the reason I fucking talk about the weather so much is because living in the San Fernando Valley in LA is difficult. The heat, the trapped heat in the valley, it gets trapped in the valley and it's rough. It's just really not a great environment. And I was just talking to, and I never kind of went on about that I feel older in the High Plains Festival. I was so much older than everybody, and that's the reality now for me. I'm 66, and I was talking to a 28-year-old comic, really funny guy named Alec Flynn, and he was just telling me about his life, and it sounded really good to me. And I gave him my number. I said, we got to hang out, and I think I'm trying to be young. I'm denying my reality of who I am, age-wise, age-wise is just everything-wise, like what I look like, who I am, and man, I just really, and I guess we all do, I really have to accept, I just have to accept who I am, and I can't regret it. I mean, we can't go around fucking regretting our life, like regretting our past decisions, regretting that we didn't do this or that, or we didn't work as hard as we should have. It's just no way to live. And I think as you get older, and especially after you pass 60, you start to sense that the end is nigh. The end is near, It's like, oh, shit, this is it. And you start to that's good and bad. The good part of that is that it's almost over. It's almost over and you can relax. That's all death is, by the way. Don't be afraid of death. Death is nothing but a tremendous nap. It's a nap that you don't wake up from. Have you ever said, oh my God, I am just going to nap for 15 minutes, and you're like, and then when that alarm goes off, because you literally only have 15 minutes, your fucking alarm goes off and you're like, I gotta get up. Well, death, you don't have to get up. You don't have to fucking get up. And what is greater than that but going, I am so goddamn tired. Let me take a nap. Now, the only way that the death nap sucks is if you feel like you didn't live. And I can feel like that for sure. Or live authentically. Sorry, I had a spit. I'm walking around and things are coming up, like my fear of death. The fear of death is nothing but the fear of a life not lived. That's what the fear of death is. I guess also, having to let go of the world. But the world, we don't understand reality. There's so many different... Hello, man. I think it'd be funny, people just hearing me here on the streets and they start to get attracted to me, men and women, they're like, my God. Imagine this, just these pedestrians who are hearing me going, my God, finally, someone talking about things that matter. And they just start asking me for my phone number. Oh my God. They started asking me for my phone number and inviting me to dinner parties and soirees. By the way, where did the term soiree go? And I think that's indicative of just the horror of our landscape. Where did the term soiree go? It's not around anymore. I think we all should start having soirees, just as an act of defiance. Have a soiree, which basically means just getting together with a couple of people, having a little bit of wine and swirling the wine. That's essentially what a soiree is. And then banter about the American landscape. By the way, did anybody see any clips? I mean, nobody watches anything live anymore, but did anybody see any clips from Farm Aid? Neil Young was fierce. Neil Young, who's Canadian, I believe, he is just so fierce about what's going on in the country and just calling for an end of it, for an end to it. And he's just great. And also our current Bob Dylan, when Bob Dylan was a badass, all Bob Dylan does now is, and he's my favorite all time. Bob Dylan is my favorite all time, but all Dylan does now is kind of sing ballads. I mean, let's give the guy a break. He's in his 80s. I hope to be still, being relevant as I grow older. So many people are so, Bill Maher is so irrelevant, and he's only probably about 60, He's irrelevant because he is a corporate whore. He's a corporate whore, and he's attached to wealth and image. Boy, that really is something. What the biggest fucking ironic thing, everything's a paradox, right? Is that in order to be relevant as an artist, the one thing you can't give a fuck about is how you look to people. You cannot give a fuck about that, how you look to people, because that just crushes any kind of artistic reality. And our current Bob Dylan, the new Bob Dylan, is a kid named Jesse Wells. Wells. And he is just so fucking real, and his heart is in such a good place, and he sings songs about Walmart being scumbag. Like, he specifically names corporations like Monsanto and Walmart, and then he'll sing a beautiful song about nature and how we're losing it. And just check out Jesse Wells, Wells. Probably a lot of you know him who listen to me, because I think we're all in the same algorithm. Meet me at the algorithm. Pretty soon that's what our realities are going to be like. Like, meet me at the algorithm, Eddie. That'll be what Alexa will be saying to me. Will be saying to me soon. Meet me at the algorithm. Boy, we are up to 31 minutes, so I've walked and talked for 31 minutes, which is good exercise for me. Thank God I had 2 strong cups of coffee. God, one thing I love in life, there's a couple of things I really love in life. I think at the top of the list is dogs. Second is maybe music / art. And then coffee is right in there. It's it is a drug, but it's not such a drug that it fucks your life, unless you're drinking it like a fucking idiot, where there are people who drink coffee all day long and they eventually get their pancreases removed or some kind of horrific thing. But if you just drink 2 cups of strong coffee in the morning, which is what I do, it just catapults you into whatever you have to do. I had to get this thing done, the podcast thingy, and I hope people are liking it. It's tough for me on the road to do these things because I'm going from altitude sickness to performing like a lunatic, socializing on the road, and then I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get the podcast done. What I should have done was interviewed people with my phone, or anyway, I can never get my life together to the point where it is humming like a machine. And I think that's one of the things that keeps me going, is the fact that my life is a mess, and I kind of exist in that chaos. And we are, this, again, let's get back to the murder party, which is the right, but it's also the Democrats. They're all invested in murder. Look at this. I'm now passing a Mediterranean restaurant. That's so good, that stuff. I love Mediterranean food. Everybody, it's so beautiful. It's 72 degrees here, sunny. And people are sitting outside in pubs, and they're chatting. They're chatting about nonsense. All their nonsense people chat about. Now I'm walking in a very busy area. I'm out of the Tony section, and now I'm walking by a Labradoodle. Beautiful, beautiful dog, brown beige Labradoodle, looking up. The Labradoodle is looking up at his owners, who are just standing there with the Labradoodle on the leash, and they're talking to their friends. And I'm like, come on, walk the fucking Labradoodle, will you? Let the Labradoodle sniff around. I don't like how people make dogs into their appendages. We are here to serve dog. We are here to serve dogs, okay? There's a reason God is spelt backwards is dog. They are our royalty. They are the divine dogs. If you're not into dogs, get into them. You know, you want to discover unconditional love, what this fucking country is missing. Well, then get a goddamn dog. Another Mediterranean place. It's so beautiful out here, seeing dogs, seeing people. Ooh, this looks like really good food. You know what I love too, I've decided? When it's cooked beautifully, rice is amazing. I fucking love rice. The name of this episode should be called I Fucking Love Rice. Just to make it seem as boring as possible. Walking by something called Orange Theory Fitness. What the fuck is that shit? It just reeks of corporate malfeasance. Orange Theory Fitness. God damn it. What the hell is going on? And now Bangkok cuisine. I'm just giving you a little tour of Forest Hills. So anyway, adults use cannabis. So I'm walking by a cannabis shop, which normally I would go in, and that would be the end of any kind of being grounded to reality for a few months until I smoked enough to feel really sick of it, and be like, fuck this, I cannot do it anymore. I smoked myself into a coma, so, you know, I'm not going in there anymore. I'm 4 months off of marijuana, and I've gone on and off it for a while, but it's so good to be off it and be coherent. And it was hard. It's hard being a comic and not having like some destructive vice. It's just a stupid lifestyle of running around city to city, and the adrenaline rush of stand-up is crazy. You get this adrenaline rush, and it's intense. It's just so intense that you're like, holy shit, I need to fucking unwind from it. I had such a great, I want to toot my own horn at the end of the High Plains Festival, where there is so much marijuana in Denver, you know, and everybody's got it. And after one of the shows, the comic said, Eddie, you smoke? And I was like, no. But it was so tempting after my last set at the High Plains Festival, where all the comics were watching me. I'm a comic favorite, you know? The comics like to watch me because I'm completely unhinged. I'm very unique in the sense that I don't do the cookie cutter whatever it is, and I've been around forever. And they're like, what the fuck? And I killed that last set, and I got so high emotionally. I got so high emotionally. The adrenaline was so amazing to perform in front of that kind of adoration. And I'm not trying to sound like a braggadocious idiot, but to perform in front of that adoration was so amazing that I wanted marijuana to come down. Like, that's what I used to smoke it for. One of the things I would smoke it for was to, like, just relax my mind. It would somehow relax my mind. But the more I looked into it, the more I realized it didn't really relax my mind. Ultimately, it just kind of made me even more obsessive. It made me even more obsessive about fame and sex, and marijuana just accentuates who you are. It accentuates your neuroses. It accentuates also the good parts of yourself, but it really accentuates all your demons, which can be good. You know, it can be good to have that stuff accentuated, right? I think. Anyway, I think I've covered a lot of ground. We're at the 42-minute mark, which is essentially what we do. And I'm running out of steam. I love you guys. I love you guys. That's why I'm doing the podcast. And I hope everybody is hanging in there and this is what I hope for everybody, that you find ways to stay sane. Find ways to stay sane. And I was thinking one of the big ways is music. Fucking find music that you love and listen to it. Find books that you love and read them. Or these days you could listen to them, even though reading is better. Do that stuff. Listen to comics that you love on YouTube. I watch George Carlin on YouTube or Bill Hicks, and I'm inspired after watching certain clips of theirs. Just inspired to continue living, to continue contributing in a positive way when I see or hear beautiful art, when I see dogs, when I drink coffee. All right, everybody. Love you. See you next time on Apocalypse Soon, the podcast with no upside.